Good morning, everybody. It's Big Ass Chris from the kitchen table, here to tell you a true story about Hawaiiana. We're on a roll here, and it takes place in the Hawaiian island of Kauai, the Garden Isle, and in the Waipio Valley, in a place called Hanakapiai. Back in the 70s, everything's back in the 70s, for me. Anyway, and I wasn't there yet, but I was soon to come on the scene in Hawaii. And on the island of Kauai, in around the early 70s, mid 70s, there was a place called Taylor Camp, owned by Elizabeth Taylor's brother, the actress Elizabeth Taylor. And in Hanakapiai at that time, those were the times of Timothy Leary's tune in, turn on, and drop out. And for those of us who remember the 60s, we weren't there. That's what I was told anyway. But there at that time, in the mid 70s, there was a matriarch of Taylor Camp on the island of Kauai, and she was called the Hanakapiai Blonde. Now in Kihei, in about 1981, I met a gentleman, Jim Thompson, became a lifelong friend. And we both enjoyed playing music, and he's like, hey, come on out to Haiku and, hang out and, check out the North Shore of Maui, and we'll play some music, meet the family. I'm like, oh, great, So I take a ride out to Haiku, and, I go down past, past Paia, past Kuau, past Mama's Fish House, Ho'okipa, Poela, past, let's see, prior to that is Maliku Gulch, quite a spectacular view there of the ocean and the gulch, and then Poela, and then on to Ua Gulch, Big Green Gulch, and to Holokai Road in Haiku. So I go down to Jim's house and go up there and knock on the door, and the door opens up, and I'm like, he's naked. Now, I grew up in Rhode Island. People in Rhode Island, people do not answer the door naked. Now, I'm 21 years old and 100%, million percent heterosexual. And I don't care if your head is nailed to the wall, what it is, what are you going to do? What is the natural inclination, not that I've ever experienced this before in my life, that you're going to do when somebody answers the door and they're naked? You're gonna look down. You're like, oh, what's going on over there? Interesting, I did not want to look down, but I did. And I can remember very distinctly, I was like, Chris, you're a man of the world now, 21 years old, yeah, man of the world. Deal with it. Now, looking back on it, Jim, like I had mentioned, we became friends for life, best friends, and knowing Jim, going up to the door naked, he must have been giggling like a little child inside, just waiting in anticipation of how I was going to react when he opened up the door, and he's standing there like, hey, how you doing, guy? Come on in. I think I held it together pretty well. I was cool, calm, and collected. I believe I was, anyway. I'm sure my eyes, kind of were a little, can't hide my, what I'm thinking. And it's up, in we go. Come on in, right? Now, I'm looking at his backside. Great. Just what I wanted to do. No, I did not want to do that, but there it is, if I was into dudes, yeah, nice ass. We were young then, hiking the mountains and, post hippies, still hippies kind of, So come and meet my wife. And his wife walks around the corner, and the world stops turning. It's like, da-da-ba-ba, na-na-na-na, She is tanned from head to toe. No bikini lines. She has big blue dough-shaped eyes with a big, bright, beautiful smile. She has wavy blonde hair all the way down to where life began for all of us. And you could not tell where life began or where her hair ended. It was all one glorious moment. And so, as time went on, eventually, the family was naked. Everybody got naked. It didn't matter. It wasn't a big deal. But I want to mention, she was tan from head to toe. I mentioned that, right? She had big doe-shaped, beautiful blue eyes. I mentioned that, correct? She had wavy blonde hair all the way down to where life began for all of us. I mentioned that, right? Did I look down? Bet your ass I did. You better believe it. And later on, I recall one time, Jim's wife said to me, she goes, Chris, if you feel uncomfortable, she goes, I can put my clothes on. I'm like, wait a minute. Is that a trick question? As coolly and calmly and collectedly as I could possibly say, I'm like, no, you're fine. And to this day, I am best of friends with the Hanakapiai Blond. Aloha no.